What's up, Ice and Fire fans? Welcome back to the House of Vine podcast. We made it, y'all. The long night has finally lifted. Game of Thrones has returned for its final season. Let's not waste time on intro chit-chat. Let's get started. So Season 8, Episode 1, Winterfell. This first episode was filled with reunions and callbacks. Callback. Reunion. Reunion. Callback. Reunion/callback. First off, we see the arrival of Dany and her army reaching the heart of the north. This little boy climbing up the tree, trying to get a glimpse of the queen and her entourage. This is our first callback to the pilot episode when young Bran first saw King Robert arriving at Winterfell. We see the local northerners looking like they've never seen black people before. Jon tells Dany that his people won't trust her until they know her. This is when the dragons show up and scare the shit out of everyone. They're gonna know her, alright. I think it's hilarious that these people are about to flee in terror, and Dany is just sitting on her horse, smirking. We then see Arya going through her little facial journey as she sees Jon, the Hound, another callback to the pilot, and Gendry. She's like, "Ooh, it's my brother." "Oh, it's the Hound." "Ooh, it's Gendry." Inside the gates, we get this little meet and greet, and we're treated with our first Stark reunion in the form of Bran and Jon. Sadly, it's undercut by Bran telling everyone,
"Ain't nobody got time for that."
Next, we actually get inside of Winterfell where Sansa and Jon hold court alongside Dany and Tyrion. We learn from Sansa that she has called all of House Stark's banners to Winterfell, which was something Sansa has been planning for since last season. However, we learn that not all the Umbers have arrived at Winterfell, and later we learn that the Glovers will not be showing up at all. Ned Umber, son of Small John Umber, the guy who sold Rickon to the Boltons, and the grandson of Big John, who was the first person to name Robb Stark King of the North back in Season 1, is called forth so they can learn the status of his people. He tells them that he just needs a few wagons and a few carts and he'll be good to go. He leaves for the last hearth immediately. We'll get back to this poor little guy later. Next, we get to the understandably upset Lady Mormont scolding Jon about giving up his crown. Jon goes on to explain that it was the price he had to pay to protect the North, and he's okay with it. Not gonna lie, I know titles aren't important to him, that they don't matter with the lingering threat of total annihilation, but to his people and the small folk, it does matter to them. Next, Tyrion stands up and informs the court that Cersei has committed Lannister troops to their cause, and that they will be marching north. This is definitely a cause for concern for nearly everyone in the room. He goes on to talk about how their combined forces and 2 full-grown dragons might be enough to win. However, Sansa wonders how they're gonna feed all these soldiers when she only planned on feeding the Northerners. If you remember last season, she was very meticulous when it came to organizing the rations for the coming winter.
How much do we have?
4,000 bushels, my lady.
What does that mean?
For the current occupants of the castle, it's enough food for a year, perhaps more.
You're telling me we don't have enough food, especially not if the armies of the north come back to defend Winterfell.
No, my lady, most likely not.
And we must prepare for that eventuality. Whatever direction the threat comes from, this is the best place to be. We need to start building up our grain stores with regular shipments from every keep in the north. If we don't use it by winter's end, we'll give it back to them. But if the entire north has to flee to Winterfell, they won't have enough time to bring wagon loads of grain with them.
Very wise, my lady.
Mr. Wall, can you see to it?
She also adds in her little smart aleck remark asking, "What do full-grown dragons even eat?" Dany's response, I could literally hear the snaps in the air. Whatever they want. Moving on, we get our second reunion in the form of Sansa and Tyrion. The last time the two of them saw each other was Joffrey's wedding. Tyrion is all, "Thanks for leaving the wedding party early. You basically fucked my life for the next year and a half." But Sansa's all like, "Yeah, my bad. You're good though. Look at you, Hand of the Dragon Queen." Sansa goes on to ask him if he truly thinks Cersei is gonna send troops north, and he answers yes. Now, Tyrion has been making pretty dumb decisions as of late, which made me think, you remember this conversation?
You're not a hero.
Oh. I've been heroic on occasion. I once charged through the Mudgate of King's Landing.
I don't want you to be a hero. Heroes do stupid things and they die.
I'm wondering if it's foreshadowing Tyrion's death, that it won't be heroism that kills Tyrion, but just plain old stupidity, perhaps trusting Bronn? We'll get to that later. Also, not for nothing, anyone a wee bit worried about Bran just staring down Tyrion? Moving on, now for the most anticipated Stark reunion of all the Stark reunions to ever Stark reunion, Jon and Arya. Not gonna lie, I found this scene to be kind of underwhelming. The show does that awkward Han and Lando encounter from Empire.
You got a lot of guts coming here, after what you pulled.
Arya wonders how he survived a night in the heart. He didn't. Arya's like, resurrection? Been there, seen that. We get this big old hug, which was sweet.
Come on! Big hug! Come on in!
What I liked was the callback to season 1 when Jon gives Arya a needle. Then she's like, I showed you mine, now show me yours. Okay, let's get out of the north for a little bit and head south to King's Landing. We see Qyburn bringing word to Cersei that the wall has fallen, and he definitely seems a bit worried. And this smug bitch is just like, good. God, I hate Cersei. We see the arrival of the Golden Company, who are led by Harry Strickland, which is a character from the books. In the books, the Golden Company is made up of exiles from Westeros who sided with the Black Dragon during the Blackfyre Rebellion. Below deck, we see Yara is still alive and is still a prisoner. Super happy not to see her all tortured up like Theon. If you read the Winds of Winter sample chapter with the damp hair, you'll know that Euron can be just as sadistic as Ramsay. So I'm glad to see she's alright. Inside the Red Keep, Cersei meets Captain Strickland, and to her disappointment, no elephants. Is it just me, or did she show more disappointment here than when she found out Tommen threw himself from that window? Now in the books, the Golden Company is currently supporting Aegon Targaryen, Rhaegar's first son, not to be confused with Jon. So there might be a possibility that the Golden Company will change sides. However, I think this Golden Company is very different from the book Golden Company, so I doubt it. Elsewhere in the Red Keep, Qyburn then shows up and tells Bronn that Cersei wants him to travel north and kill her traitorous brothers. Now a lot of people think it's stupid to believe Bronn would actually kill Jaime and Tyrion. However, I personally think this might be the show's last attempt to really try to fake people out with surprise deaths. This goes back to what I said earlier about Tyrion's stupidity possibly leading to his death. Tyrion might trust that Bronn won't carry out the contract, but then he actually will kill him. Side note, there was also a line Ser Jorah said last season that all it would take is one arrow and Daenerys would be dead.
You have many enemies in the north. Thousands fell fighting your father. All it takes is one angry man with a crossbow. He'll see your silver hair on the King's Road and know that one well-placed bolt will make him a hero. The man who killed the Conqueror.
I wonder if maybe the show is leading towards something like that. Food for thought. We finally see Cersei and Euron hook up. However, all the real action is happening back on the Silence, Euron's ship. Theon has finally showed up to rescue his sister, and I'm almost positive this is Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. After the rescue, it's decided that Yara will go back and retake the Iron Islands so Dany will have a place to fall back, if need be, and Theon will travel north to fight for the Starks. Now back up in Winterfell, Davos proposes that Dany and Jon get married after the war, if they survive that is, which leads us to the dragon riding scene. Holy shit, these dragons are real. $10 million well spent. You see how quick Jon binded with Rhaegal, the dragon named after his real father? Jon is like that kid in your neighborhood who was doing wheelies up and down the block 5 minutes after taking off the training wheels for the first time. We also get another callback, this time to the cave scene with Ygritte and Jon back in season 3. This had to be awkward for Jon, right? Making out with his new girlfriend in a place that looks exactly like the spot where he hooked up with his last girlfriend who's now dead. Moving on, we get to see Winterfell's new blacksmith, Gendry. We see him crafting an axe for the Hound, and he mentions how hard it is to make a weapon that big using dragon glass. Come on, Gendry, you're almost there. Just take the obsidian, get some steel, use some dragon fire, boom, bam, you know how to make Valyrian steel now. We had another reunion between the Hound and Arya, but more importantly, we get a callback / reunion with Arya and Gendry. Definitely some light flirting going on between these two. Perhaps they'll fulfill Robert's wish.
Well, it's not too late. I have a son, you have a daughter. We'll join our houses.
But instead of Sansa and Joffrey, it's Arya and Gendry. Real quick, we also see the plans for the weapon Arya was wielding in the Season 8 trailer. Later on, we get Dany and Ser Jorah visiting Samwell so the Queen can thank him for curing Mormont of his grayscale. Sadly though, he also gets some pretty devastating news. Dany's like, I got good news and bad news. Good news is, you're getting a castle. All jokes aside, John Bradley does a fantastic job giving us two different reactions. First, finding out that his father refusing to bend the knee led to his death. He was upset, but he seemed to accept it. He knows what type of man Lord Randall was, but when he hears about Dickon, his little brother, some great acting. Sam then runs into Bran outside. Bran's been out here just chilling the entire day. He tells Sam that he's been waiting for an old friend. We learn by the end of the episode that this old friend is Jaime Lannister. Another reunion which is going to play out more in the next episode. Now, we already know from the preview how Daenerys is going to treat Jaime, but I have a feeling Bran is going to actually forgive him. He'll probably say something like, if it wasn't for you pushing me out of that window, I never would have became the three-eyed raven. Then Jaime will be like, I don't know what that means, but you're welcome? Anyway, back to Sam. Even though he's distraught after finding out about his father and brother, Bran insists that he be the one to spill the beans to Jon. I thought they were going to drag this out until the next episode, but here we go. Aegon Targaryen, 6th of his name, protector of the realm, etc, etc. I wonder what was going through Jon's head when he first heard Lyanna Stark was his mother. Personally, I probably would have told him who his father was first, then his mother. I wouldn't want him to think Ned was banging his sister. So now Jon knows that he's not only a true Stark, not only a Targaryen, but the rightful ruler of the 7 kingdoms. Oh, and that he's probably in love with his aunt. Finally, we get back to this little guy. What is up with this show and burning children? And why do the White Walkers constantly play with their food? Well, it might have to do with this design. It's been popping up throughout the entire series, and we learn that it resembles the place where the Night King was created by the children of the forest. Perhaps it's some type of symbol that the Night King uses to remind himself of the day he lost his humanity. That's basically it. Like I said, lots of callbacks, lots of reunions. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Will Bronn kill Jaime or Tyrion? Will Jon keep his identity a secret? Will the Golden Company switch sides? And who will die in the upcoming battle for Winterfell? Thanks for watching. As always, share, like, and subscribe to stay updated and be the first to watch newly uploaded videos.